winter home. Was it still intact? Was there anyone still alive there? These were questions that even I posed. Questions that remained at this point unanswered. There were tents to construct and food to gather. There were a few hungry, but at this point it was manageable. And the automaton was arriving, so good news all round then. And bunkhouses could be constructed. Yes, more scouts would be nice. Besides, the power setting for the generator needed more steel than was available. At this point, food production was increased. And the housing situation at this point would no longer be a problem. At least for today. The problem now was making sure those that were hungry were fed. An automaton was within the city, which was indeed good news, as at least we could have steel available to us. It even had a steam hub nearby to refuel. Although it could refuel from the generator, a steam hub nearby reduces the journey back and forth. Yes, 60% efficiency.
Finish your labors, people. The work day is up.
It's certainly safer than sending human workers to the steelworks. It currently far too cold for that. It might be worth a more asymmetrical setup of the steam hubs. In order to reach what is needed. If coal mining was a viable option, the alternative could work there, when the human workers moved to the steamworks. Did I say steamworks? I mean steelworks. Preferably with a steam hub nearby. I will certainly need a nearby source of wood as well. The fuel source of the automaton might be different from that of a human worker, but it still needs one.
The work shift starts.
Another coal pumper would be most useful right now. I was thinking at the time as more fuel meant more use of it. I had to make a decision on what would be better to construct. One thing that I would have needed to construct at some point is a steam hub. So I had one built near the coal pumper. I also knew that eventually there would be a need for a gathering post. Although before the gathering post could be constructed, more steel would be needed to be gathered. As although there was some wood to spare, steel is much harder to acquire. Another scout party was formed. I sent them to the observatory. See what's there while... The first scout party was sent in the general direction of Winterhome. I decided to wait until the Steam hub was complete before a gathering post was built. One thing I learned about the coal thumper is that it's not that useful unless you have someone gathering the coal pile. And this is made more efficient by the gathering posts. If there's one gathering post, then... well, I decided to review the laws and decided that
New law! A new law has passed.
it would be a good idea to have a fighting arena built within the next 3 days. It's nice to have some form of entertainment in the city. And the people could certainly use a distraction around now. And I expect it would be a most welcome distraction. Considering... oh yes, and research on the strength of the generator started. Long overdue, I might add. At least the fuel situation for the generator
Night is coming. Put down your tools.
has some form of resolution. Although it might be prudent to invest in certain technologies to make it even more efficient. The amount of supplies coming in is still not enough for me to make another storage building. I would need another one eventually, just not right now. One of the scouts has reached their destination, the observatory. There were survivors. Apparently the sun was dimming, There's hope not. More likely it was a combination of that meteor shower that Turkish astronomer was speaking of, and 2 volcanoes erupting. There were survivors there, and I had them escorted back to our city. It would mean more houses needed. And eventually more food production would be needed, but it was something that I could live with. As for construction, I decided that a couple of bunkhouses could be constructed. I would have needed to have them improved eventually. The housing within the city, I mean. So I thought, why not now? Another of the scouts has reached their destination, a weather station. Still deserted, although there were supplies there. They were nearing Winterhome. Although there was something else to investigate. But I decided that it would be better to head back to our city with the supplies. The other scouts can head to Winterhome once they arrive here. If there is a way of making the... Oh yes, and the abandoned weather station was reducing the hope of the people. More questions than answers, but I felt that would change soon. Much as the temperature changed to something a little more manageable. I kept this to myself at the time, but I knew that we would not like what we would find in Winterhome, based on available evidence. The generator upgrade should be done by the end of the day, but there were more pressing matters that eclipsed it. The amount of wood that was available. This would necessitate a sawmill with a more readily available supply of wood. As for steel, perhaps it would be prudent to have the heater on and let the human workers... Yes, and as for the scout party that was in the city, I sent them to Winterhome to see what was there. No more distractions. Well, the only distractions that would be there in the city would be important matters to attend to. Well, for a start, the creation of a steam hub. That would make it safe to work in the sawmill near those frozen trees. I knew that would keep us going for quite some time. Certainly more than that sawmill, which had its equipment upgraded. Now the generator can be run hotter. Oh, I was getting ahead of myself. It was at this point during this day that the equipment was being researched. As for the generator's heat setting, it wasn't necessary for it to be on the second setting, because, well, it's not yet needed, and besides, it would be prudent to have the coal supply be able to sustain that kind of usage. In fact, we can barely sustain a greater range for the heat. But that would change. It would need to. We needed more space to expand. We also needed more wood for, well, everything. Oh yes, there was the added effect of the gathering posts. Well, they could gather from nearby coal piles, not just the one made by the coal thumper. Yes, more steel was gathered. And it was unlikely we'd be running out of it. Not for the foreseeable future. I had the sawmill salvaged because we weren't going to need it around there anymore. What we needed was one that was closer to a source of wood, such as the northeast. Yes. That would be a good place for a new sawmill. Along with a new steam hub to make it safe for the workers to be there. Perhaps that wall drill that I saw in the list of projects to do, or rather to research, might be a good idea. Well, it was something to think about. Along with the fighting arena, of course. Winterhome was within reach, and we had more coal than we knew what to do with. Why was I nervous? Well, keep listening and you'll find out why I was nervous.